What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over what I think is the best loadout in zero build for Fortnite's new Overwatch update. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what your favorite loadout is with this update, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything. It is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So the Overwatch update actually added a good amount of content that is pretty top tier and could definitely be the meta and could shake up what you prefer to use. We're going to start off with shotguns. Not too much changed here. We still have all of the same 4 shotguns in the loot pool: the Chaos Reloader, Iron Pump, Twin Hammers, and Shredder. And my choice is definitely still going to be one of either the Chaos Reloader shotgun or the Iron Pump shotgun, and it really just depends on rarity for me. Typically, I will just go with whatever one I find a higher rarity of first, or if I visit a shotgun vending machine and there's a gold chaos in there, I'll use that. If there's a gold pump, I'll use that. For most people, I think the Chaos Reloader is probably going to be the best bet, but I still do enjoy the Iron Pump. And for me, most of the time streaming, I'm not paying the most attention to the game, so switching several times throughout the course of the game just kind of throws me off. So I tend to just stick with whichever one I get a higher rarity of first. The Chaos Reloader still has really high damage, and if you guys played earlier in the season and then left, all the bugs associated with it not reloading have been fixed by this point in time, so that's really good. One thing I do want to touch on here is going to be the Shredder shotgun. I think it got a decent amount better in this update, and it's still not my preferred shotgun, but with all the mobility we have in the loot pool right now, there's a lot of fights that end up getting, somewhat ranged for a shotgun, and I think the value that the Shredder shotgun has of having a lot of range kind of shines more in this Overwatch update. So if you were someone that kind of already enjoyed the Shredder, but maybe just didn't want to commit to it, or you still kind of really preferred the Chaos, I think this update kind of gives more room for the Shredder to take over because of how easy it is to create range between you and your opponent with all the new added mobility items. So not much change statistically with the shotguns, but I think the way the game plays maybe gives a little bit more room for the Shredder to, have potential. For spray, not much changed here for me either. I think the Thunderburst SMG is still going to be my preferred, but the pistol is really good, and these have been the 2 kind of dominant spray weapons for the entire season. And for the most part, this is going to be another thing that just comes down to personal preference. Like the shotguns, a lot of them were top tier and good. Between the pistol and the Thunderburst, I think it's just a matter of preference. Some people absolutely love the pistol. Some people absolutely love the burst. Whichever one you're good with is going to be the best for you. I prefer the burst because I like that added magazine size, especially with how much people run away, or how many fights end up with constant resetting and repositioning. I feel like the magazine is helpful there. And then also I really like the perfectly accurate hipfire of the Thunderburst. The exotic pulse rifle was added in this update, and this is another spray weapon that is incredibly good, and for a lot of people this might be your preferred choice. Chaos Reloader and pulse rifle in very close range situations will absolutely dominate in terms of damage output. One of the things I don't really care for about this pulse rifle, though, is going to be the amount of bloom on it. So it has a lot of spread and a lot of bloom, and that makes it not accurate at all in longer ranges. And with how this season plays, that's not the end of the world because you have a lot of mobility, so you can get in close on people. But the mobility also kind of makes this weakness more of a big deal, because with how much mobility we have in the loot pool, it's easier for enemies to try to get away and try to reset, and then that's going to create situations where maybe you're shooting at somebody you have really weak who's running from you, and then they get away because the pulse rifle has a lot of bloom. So in incredibly close range, this thing melts. In medium to long range, it's a bit of a struggle because of the amount of spread it has. Typically, pulse rifles had a slower fire rate when aimed in, and this helped them kind of maintain accuracy at longer ranges. But this pulse rifle doesn't have that effect. It has the same fire rate whether you aim in or hip fire. And when aimed in, it has a lot of spread, and that makes it really inconsistent at medium to long range. So I think if this weapon was a little bit different, or if the accuracy was different, this would be the definitive best choice. But as it is now, I think, the pistol, the Thunderburst, or the pulse rifle, all are incredibly good. And again, it's probably going to come down to preference. For heals, I still prefer the pizza, but the staff is incredibly good as well. The Mercy staff is a healing item, but in solos, I don't think it's that great. So one of the interesting things about this staff is you can heal teammates with it. And while you're healing a teammate, you heal yourself. So in duos, you guys could both heal each other, both be benefiting health, and both be benefiting health faster. And if you're playing squad, same thing. It stacks with the amount of people doing it. So in team game modes, I feel like this staff just gets better and better and better. But as a solo healing item, it's not that great. It's not the fastest. It does have a lot of quantity at 300 charge, so it is more quantity than a Chug Jug. So if you do most concern yourself with quantity, this staff is going to be the best. I personally value speed most in the heals, so pizza is my favorite, but if I was playing something like duos or squads, I would definitely be more inclined to run the staff. And this also has a pseudo kind of movement aspect where when you have it out and you're in air, you have more of like a low gravity effect to you, and this will allow you to get more out of your mobility, especially if you use things like the overdrive grenades or the tracer pistols dashes. Combining that with the staff does allow you to move more, so you do get a mobility item and a heal in one, and that will, you know, definitely make some people prefer it. So I think the pizza, the staff, and the Chug Jug are the 3 best healing choices. A lot of times it's just going to come down to what you have access to, as heals typically do. I still prefer to use double mobility, and this season, or like this update would have made that even more of a thing you want to do, because there's a lot of mobility and the game plays out very quickly. So the 7 power gloves have been the dominant mobility item for pretty much this entire season, and I feel like not much has changed here. I think the 7 power gloves are definitely still something that you want to have in your inventory. Not only is it a great movement item for traveling around the map and it recharges over time, we have the mythic version in the rivalry boards now, so you can purchase ones that have 40 uses. But also in terms of how fights play out this season, it's incredibly good. And if you guys have playing throughout this season, you know the glove melee and the glove uppercut is a factor in pretty much every close range fight. And as I've talked about several times throughout this season, one of the best ways to counter this is just to do it yourself. If you're uppercutting the enemy before they can uppercut you, that's good for you, and the fight is kind of going on your terms. Even if you do get uppercutted, just uppercutting yourself after you got uppercutted can be a way to kind of throw the enemy off and reset the fight if that's something you want to do. And I just think with how the season has changed with the Overwatch update, there definitely were changes, but the 7 power gloves are still one of the best mobility items in the game, one of the best fighting items in the game, and just a great utility to have. Whenever you have somebody camping in bushes, you have a car driving at you, you have an enemy trying to glove you. There's so many times where just having the glove uppercut for yourself gives you a huge upper hand in fight. So I still want to be taking this as much as I can. Your final mobility item is going to come down to mostly preference. I know with the pocket item, a lot of people maybe thought there wouldn't be as much of a need to run double mobility because there is the shockwave pocket item, and that is still the pocket item I prefer to use. I think the shockwave is the best one, but one shockwave every 30 seconds I don't think is suitable replacement for an entire mobility item. It's just not that spammable and it's not that repeatable. And again, the season has a lot of mobility right now, and the way fights play out in zero build is if enemies have a mobility advantage on you, they're able to reset fights whenever they want. So if you try to skimp out on mobility, you're not going to have as many options in the fight. You're not going to have as many options to like chase down and pressure enemies that you get damage on. And so your openings or, you know, starts to fights that go well for you aren't going to go that well, or the enemy's going to be able to reset. So I still much prefer double mobility even with the shockwave pocket item, but it is nice to have. And I think this final slot for me is probably going to be the tracer pistols. I think the dashes on these tracer pistols are very good for traveling the map. It's very good for chasing enemies. It's very good for resetting fights. It does basically everything you want in a mobility item. And then it also is unlimited. They recharge over time. So the overdrive grenades I do really like as well, but overdrive grenades don't recharge over time, whereas the tracer pistols do. So I think getting used to this item and getting good with this item is definitely going to be something that you want to do, and that's probably going to be my preferred mobility this season is the 7 power gloves and the tracer pistols. One unfortunate quirk about these pistols is the dashes for them only recharge while you have the pistols out, and so this can create kind of weird situations or unfortunate situations where you overuse your dashes in a fight, and then, you know, maybe you're fighting or healing up after the fight, reloading, all that, and then you don't really think to recharge your pistol dashes, and you maybe get hopped on before they're ready to go, and then that can create a problem for you. So trying to maintain these being charged up throughout the course of the game, whenever you have you know, free time to make sure they're charged up, or after a fight, it's something you want to make sure is charged up, or if you overuse it just traveling the map, again, you want to make sure that it's charged up. You want to have these ready to go in the important moments or in a fight. And if you try to swap to them and they're not ready to go in that fight because you haven't held them out to recharge the dashes, that can be something that gets you killed. Also, I like to use this against enemies. If I'm playing against an enemy that I know is using the tracer pistols and they spam all 3 of their dashes and I'm still able to engage on them, that's going to be a time where I really want to make that fight happen, because I know I can make them mess up or not able to recharge their dashes. So if I'm playing a tracer and they use 3 dashes, I really want to hop on them if the moment is there. And the same is kind of true of the 7 power gloves. If somebody overuses their gloves, and I know I can get on them while their gloves are on cooldown, that's something I want to do. But it's just more extreme with the tracer pistols because they only recharge when you have them out. So like if you're bothering somebody who just used all their glove uses are still coming back even with it not equipped. You know, the tracer pistol only having it equipped recharges them, and that is something that is very exploitable or something that you can make a mistake with. It also has the rewind effect, which, you know, can be useful to save yourself from a bad situation or just have more options in a fight. It's definitely nice to have. It's not something I use all the time, but the moments where it's good to use, it really shines. And so that's why the tracer pistols is what I would prefer for this final slot. The overdrive grenades are still very good. The kinetic blade is solid, but not what I want to use. And as of the time I'm recording this video, the kinetic blade was vaulted because of a bug, but it will be coming back. So my kind of tier list for that final slot would probably go tracer pistols, overdrive nades, and then I guess the kinetic blade. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, comment down below what your preferred loadout is with the Overwatch update, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.